multiple skulls to see everything, right? One of the things you'll find is that the visceral skeleton, nice as it is going to be in your way of seeing some things, all right? So going on the top here, in the front, we have this tooth-bearing bone. That's going to be the premaxilla, just like you see in the kitty cat skull. Then on the side, our next tooth-bearing bone is going to be our vomer. And then this bone coming back here, which maybe will show better on this one. This bone coming back here is the palatopterygoid, which sounds a bit like palatopterygoid quadrate on your shark's upper jaw. Palatopterygoid meets with this bone right here called the quadrate. So palatopterygoid to quadrate. Now the quadrate is right here. It attaches to this bone. Quadrate and this bone together look a bit like the zygomatic arch on your skull or your kitty cat skull. It isn't the same at all. But the bone that makes the zygomatic process, one of the bones is the squamosal bone, right? So here we see quadrate, there's a line right there. The bone it's meeting is the squamosal bone, which is why that was worth thinking about. All right, so here we have a V-shaped bone. Let's see if this one shows the V better, not really. But V-shaped bone coming back, that's the frontal. And then on the side of the skull, we've got the parietal. I guess it looks better when you're looking at it from on the screen than what I'm pointing at, but there's the frontal, parietal. And then on the back here, we've got a hole. And this is a rule of thumb we're going to see, like with the shark skull, and you're going to see the cat skull. This hole is where the brain that's inside the skull meets the spinal cord. It's called a foramen magnum, which means literally big hole. If you get shot by a magnum, you're going to have a big hole in you. Look at you all nodding in agreement, like you've done this to someone. All right. Underside's a little hard to see things because we got our hyoid here still. But again, there's our premaxilla. There's our vomer with teeth. All of this stuff here, the vomer's roughly V-shaped. Not hard to remember, V-shaped vomer. But the rest of the roof here is all parasphenoid. Okay? Now we get back here, all of this houses the inner ear, so that's the otic capsule. All right? And I forgot to mention, but by the foramen magnum, we have our articulating structures, the occipital condyles. So here's our otic capsule. Now we get to some terminology that's a little confusing. This one, I guess, shows it best. We have a little round bone here. That's the opisthotic. We have one in front here. That's prootic. Again, everything referring to ear, otic. And then between them, we have this bone here that's roughly disc-shaped. That's the columella. So it goes prootic, columella, and opisthotic. All right, so to understand a bit about what's going on here, you have to understand what the columella is. It is an auditory ossicle. It carries sound waves from the eardrum into the otic capsule. In us, we have three pairs of auditory ossicles, malleus, incus, and stapes. The columella is the same as the stapes. Only mammals have three pairs of auditory ossicles. Reptiles, amphibians, and birds just have the columella. The columella is the same as the stapes, but it looks different. So it took them a while to make the connection. Stapes looks like a stirrup. The columella looks more like a column. I know, shocking with those names. Only mammals have that stirrup shape, is what threw them off. Basically, our hearing is so good that we need to have muscles that stop the auditory ossicles from vibrating to protect us from loud sounds. And going in the stirrup, like a foot in a stirrup, is a muscle that protects you from high vibration. All right? So here's the columella. It sits on an opening, which we can see a little bit of that opening here and here. That's a round-shaped window, fenestra ovalis, the oval window. All right? And if you look close, let's see if this one shows it any better. I guess it does. Here we see our columella, and it has a little spike on top, and wherever you see spike, the word for that is stylus. So that's the stylus of the columella. Now, the way in which this works is the stylus attaches to the eardrum. Think of a frog, because you've seen frogs, nice big eardrum behind the eyes. That's all they got for an external ear, is just the eardrum. So the stylus of the columella attaches there. As the eardrum vibrates, the columella goes up and down. It causes vibrations to be passed through the fenestra ovalis into the otic capsule so hearing can be processed. All right? That's why we have that whole relationship there. So pro-otic, opisto-otic, and columella with a little stylus, spike-like stylus. All right, I think that covers everything on this. So we'll take a look at the kitty cat in about a half hour. All right?
Any questions?